Hi everyone, welcome back to the second episode of the Unsaid podcast. I'm Vamika and this is Kiara.
Hi, I'm Kiara Doshi. I'm Vamika's friend.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about people pleasing. So let's start. I just want to start off by asking you, what do you think people pleasing actually is?
I think people pleasing is when you try and change yourself for others, either changing your opinion or like something you believe in, something you're doing, where you alter like who you truly are to fit what other people want you to be.
Yeah, definitely. But what do you think is the difference between being actually nice to people and being a people pleaser?
I think if like being nice to someone is just giving them grace, as in like maybe they're having a bad day, you say something to cheer them up, or maybe they've done something wrong, you can comfort them, but then still be honest. The difference between that and people pleasing is when you lie or do something dishonest that either like combats your morals or something that you don't believe in just to make someone else feel better about themselves.
But do you feel like if me and you are having a conversation and I'm really low and I'm crying and it is my fault and you know that it's my fault, but I'm really sad about it, do you think that you like tell me something like Vamika, it's okay, it's not your fault, this happened, it's going to be okay? Do you think that's people pleasing, like actually comforting people during a sad moment?
During a sad moment, I don't think it's people pleasing, but then after the fact, if you still go on and lie to their face about, oh no, but you were totally correct, like what the other person did was wrong, that's people pleasing.
Definitely. And do you think that people are born people pleasers, or due to their surroundings and the people they hang out with, that makes them a people pleaser?
I don't think people are born as people pleasers. I think everyone wants to please others, but the difference between being that and a people pleaser is just like wanting to please others is again being nice. Being a people pleaser is something that happens due to like your environment. Maybe you feel like when you try to fit in, it doesn't really work, so you have to appease others just to get them to like you. I feel like it's a part of your environment.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, especially in today's society and world, people don't voice their opinions because they're scared of being judged by other people. That, if I voice my opinion, if I say what I really feel, all of them are going to judge me. They're going to make fun of me. Like, I won't be accepted in society anymore. Like, has that ever happened to you that during an argument or, during a conversation, you've just changed your opinion to, kind of avoid the argument?
It definitely has. I think that sometimes petty arguments, especially, they aren't worth breaking a relationship over. They aren't worth really having. So sometimes I do just end up going with what the other person says to make them feel better, to like cease whatever conflict is going on. But it's not something I'm really proud of.
So, like, basically what you're saying is you kind of have to look at the circumstances that you're in. Like, even though you say no, like being a people pleaser is not a good idea, sometimes you just kind of avoid that conversation because you just don't want to talk to that person about it because it's of no use. You kind of just agree with them and say that, yeah, you know what, you're right, it's okay, we will come back to this conversation later. But sometimes, like, not saying what people want to hear is a good thing because you're actually benefiting them. If I was in the wrong, I would rather people tell me that I'm in the wrong than, kind of sugarcoat it and just tell me that you were right, what you're doing is amazing, don't change yourself. Like, I would never choose that over someone who says, Vamika, listen, you were wrong here, I think that you need to do this. And, people who give you actual advice. So why do you think, like, people who are honest are misunderstood as compared to people pleasers? Because even though they know that they're people pleasers, that brings me to my next question. Do you think people pleasers know that they're people pleasers, or they just try to cover it up by saying, I'm just a nice person and you're not?
I think definitely, and I'm speaking from like experience here, people pleasers know they are people pleasers, but they try and play it off to others as like, no, I'm just a nice person, and like, no, I genuinely agree with you. Because the main thought, in my mind at least, when I was a people pleaser was like, oh, I just want people to like me, I just want to have friends, and I want to feel loved and appreciated.
Definitely. But do you think, diplomacy, being diplomatic to other people, so do you think diplomacy is also a form of people pleasing? Like, I am still telling you what I think, but in a very diplomatic way. I'm kind of sugarcoating it, but I'm still kind of telling you that, listen, you're wrong, like, lock in.
I don't think diplomacy is people pleasing because when you're being diplomatic, you're still kind of being honest. People pleasing is like totally changing your view for the other person. But diplomacy is like, as you said, sugarcoating. You're softening the blow to a way that's like digestible for the other person. I think that's a better way to handle conflict rather than just like yelling at each other and like fighting all the time. It's better to be diplomatic and try and have the other person understand you rather than like lie to them or totally fight with them.
But do you think, if you think yes, then why? But do you think that people pleasing leads to making bad decisions?
Yeah, I think people pleasing leads to making bad decisions like morally, especially with things like peer pressure. Sometimes people want you to do things that you don't really want to do. Like off the top of my head, we're in high school, so like drinking or something like that. Although it's not as like prevalent in the society we live in, peer pressure, it's still there, and some people have like the moral compass to not want to. Some people have the moral compass to where like it's okay, and some people pressure others into doing it. And I feel like when it comes to breaking your morals, it definitely leads to making bad decisions just to like feel cool and like fit in and have people like you.
What something that I've seen that's really common in especially people pleasers is their group of friends know that this person, like let's just say person A is a people pleaser, their group of friends will know that person A can be exploited because they are a people pleaser, and so the things that the group might not want to do, they'll go to person A and be like, can you do it for me please, like how close I am to you, how much I love you, like won't you do this for me? And what happens in this bargain is that person A really is so conflicted and they don't know what to do, whether to actually do that thing because of their friends, or whether to stick with their morals, and they've never done it before. Like let's just say on the topic of alcohol, their group of friends say, hey, can you go buy some alcohol from this, here's your fake ID, I'm giving you everything, just go buy it please, like you're our friend. But person A will be like, no, but I've never touched alcohol and I don't want to have alcohol. So I feel like peer pressure is not always direct, that drink or buy. Indirectly they like kind of manipulate you and be like, you're our friend, won't you do this much for us, like are you not okay with doing such a small thing? Like if I was in your place, I would do that for you. So how easy do you think it actually is to manipulate people pleasers?
It is so easy because all they really want, like all person H really wants, is for the rest of their friends to like them. And if they say things like, oh, but I would do it for you, oh, but you know how much I love you, would you just do this one thing? Using terminology like that, it just puts into the forefront of their mind, like, oh, they like me, which is why they're like thinking of me to do this. That's why they chose me to do this. So I will do it for them because they like me, and maybe if I do it, they'll like me a little bit more. Things like that create bias in person A's mind, which kind of obligates them to do those things, at least in their head.
Or to bend their morals? Do you think that people pleasers are only people pleasers with their friends, like socially, because they want to try to prove a point, like I'm so cool or whatever? Or they're also people pleasers with their family, in the sense that if their mom's telling them something, or their dad's telling them something, they'll just agree with their mom and dad and be like, yeah, you know what, you're right, maybe I am wrong. Do you think it's also with their family, or it's only socially because they want to be accepted socially and they think, oh, my family's always there for me, like I don't need to agree with anything they say?
I think a lot of people have like the comfort of knowing that their family is always there for them. So a lot of people, especially people pleasers, tend to like mistreat that connection. So I've noticed if someone's like more connected with their friends, they're less connected with their family. This is not always the case, but it's just something I've noticed with like especially people our age, because you're so determined to get people your age to like you. Sometimes you even go and break the morals that your like maybe parents or grandparents have taught you. In other cases, people's families are quite like distant from them, so they do anything to get that love and support. I think it just depends on like from the start, how much has your family been there for you? How much do you feel like they are there for you? Like,
But some people also, because they're people pleasers, or they agree with everything everyone says, they really have no one. Because you have this communication gap with your parents, this unseen wall between you and your parents, that you want to tell something, or something you ideally share with your friends, like if you got a boyfriend, let's just say, or like if someone got a girlfriend, let's just say, if they don't have friends socially because they're people pleaser and they feel like they'll be judged, and they don't even have parents like who support them, who will they go and tell that to? It's kind of just eating them in. So I feel like building that relationship with your kids, like, yeah, like, parents should be friends with their kids, of course not to a certain point where lines get crossed between parents and kids, but just kind of being there for your kids is so much, because as teenagers we go through so much. And impressing our friends, like, I'm sure in your life you've also always, like, you're not always, like, you have impressed your friends. Even I've like tried to impress my friends, or reach a certain level, or portray myself to be something else, because at a certain point maybe I felt like I was getting support from nowhere. So it's really important for parents to build some kind of relationship with their kid, that their kid knows that no matter what, my parents will be standing by me.
It's like a really hard thing to do because each kid has a different boundary. There's no like formula that a parent can go by because you have to be there for them to the point where they know they can come and talk to you. But if you push too much into their life,
They closed down.
yeah, they will close down on you. And it's fair on the parents' part to be frustrated, but it's also fair on the teen's part to not know like how to react. It's our first time living, going through these experiences, understanding these things, and having someone just like yell at you all the time or like ask every small detail about you all the time. It just feels like so much pressure.
No.
But then when your parent isn't there for you at all, you feel like you have no one to talk to because maybe there's a gap between you and your friends. They're all your age, so they're going through similar things. Maybe they don't want to talk about it, type of thing, where you would ideally go and tell your parents, but some people's parents just aren't there. It's really difficult for most teens to open up because of a multitude of reasons.
Definitely, I do agree with this point. And that brings you to my next question. How do you think someone kind of, gradually stops being a people pleaser and goes like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done lying to people about my feelings. I'm done changing my opinions. I seriously am done with everything. Now I just want to be myself. I want to share my opinions. I want to be honest both with myself and society. How do you think people pleasing stops?
I think, again, it's different person to person, but I can talk about my experience. I was like the world's biggest people pleaser at one point. Like, I really just wanted people to like me because I had recently moved to a new school. I had like maybe 2 real friends and a lot of fake ones. And it was at a point where like some rumor got out about me, which was like totally false. But a lot of people stopped talking to me. A lot of people made fun of me. And that made me really realize, like, wow, how does one small rumor, like one factor of my identity, change how you view me as a whole? Having friends like that, having relationships like that, knowing that I put so much time into another person that could just leave me so easily, that hurt like really bad. And that's when I kind of knew, like, okay, why was I striving so hard to have them like me when they could just leave so easily? Why can't I just like myself for like a start, you know? So then I started like first at least trying to be more honest with myself, not lie about maybe music I listen to or shows I watch or like things I like, not lying to myself about my morals and my values, like what I like in people, who I truly am. And after I started doing that, I started finding more real friends whose actual values identified with mine. And that just made my life so much easier. And even though I have less friends than I did, I have more real ones. I can be more honest with myself. I can be more honest with my parents. And I know that I have a group of people that like genuinely like me and genuinely support me. And that feeling is a lot better than the feeling of having no one.
Do you think that people feel guilty when they say no to something that maybe they could have said yes to, according to, people pleasing?
I think that they do because I feel like guilt is one of the biggest factors of people pleasing. It's part of the reason why people pleasers are people pleasers. I think that like maybe maybe I drew a boundary. Someone wanted to come and tell me something, but I wasn't in like an emotional state to hear that. So I said, okay, can you talk to me a different time? If I were a people pleaser, I'd probably go home and like reflect, like, oh, why didn't I just let them tell me? I could have, and they would have maybe liked me more. Maybe they're thinking negatively of me. Like, I think there's the guilt of like, oh, how does the other person feel? Do they think of me any less? Do they like me any less? I think that impacts why people pleasers try to make others feel better.
Definitely. In talking about boundaries, do you think that setting boundaries makes you a bad person?
No, I think boundaries are something that should be drawn. Like, you should draw those lines in the sand where you stand up for yourself, where you allow yourself to, like, have that grace. Because you should be kind to others. You shouldn't be a people pleaser, but you should definitely be kind to others. But to be kind to others, you have to be kind to yourself first. Maybe that means drawing a line, setting a boundary. There's a topic you don't want to talk about. Maybe you're not in the right headspace to do something. You have to say, no, I'm sorry. Can we not? No, I'm sorry. I can help you later. Not right now. I feel like drawing boundaries is one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself because it inevitably makes you a happier and healthier person, which will therefore allow you to support yourself, your family, your friends, makes you a better person in general.
So, boundaries are important, right? So, we agree that boundaries are really important. But why do you think that when people do set boundaries, it's viewed like it's not, it's looked down upon on in society that I have boundaries? Like a group of girls or a group of guys would be like, you know what, she's too stuck up, she doesn't want to, bend anything, she's too rigid, she's too uptight. So setting boundaries is important, but when you set boundaries, people judge you too. And as a like people please, if I'm setting boundaries for myself to kind of avoid that kind of judgment, I'm still getting that judgment. If not more, I'm still getting judged for setting boundaries. Why do you think that happens?
I think people judge others for setting boundaries, especially when it's like things that they would be willing to do themselves just because they want to make themselves feel better about that situation. Like, oh, maybe I really needed to talk to you about something, but you were feeling down that day. You knew you wouldn't in the right headspace to help me, so you were like, okay, Kiara, come back another time. We can talk about this later. You drew a boundary there. Maybe I think like, oh, so she's so mean. She doesn't care about me. Like, why would she do that? I probably think that way because it's something that would have benefited me. People usually judge when it benefits them. Like, oh, they were so bad. Look, that makes me so good. Like, oh, but I would have done it for her. Oh, but, I'm a better person, which is why I wouldn't have drawn this boundary. They make up things like that. Whereas I, for one, know that if I weren't having a good day and you came to ask me something, I would probably ask you to leave and come back because I know I wouldn't be able to give my best answer. You wouldn't be aware, oh, she's having a bad day. Oh, this is the reason she set the boundary. I think when people set boundaries, they generally don't say why, which is what creates like a big argument between other people, which is why they feel like they have the ability to judge. Like, oh, we don't know why she set the boundary, so we perceive her as like stingy or mean or she's annoying, she's so rude. Because they really don't know what you're going through. They don't understand why you put that boundary there.
But I feel like kind of rising above that, obviously it's easier said than done, but kind of rising above that judgment and being confident in yourself and, just telling yourself every day that I'm enough, I don't need to prove myself to anyone but me. I feel like that's really important, but to reach that stage, it's really difficult to reach that stage. It's very difficult and it takes a lot of maturity to kind of understand yourself and kind of understand the people around you, because nature is something that doesn't change that easily. The nature of the people around you is never going to change. Their mentality that they have is never going to change. So I feel like what's important is you changing in yourself and kind of accepting their nature, that you know what, their nature is this, my nature is this, none of us need to change. I feel like maybe we just need to distance because these are not my people.
Like, especially at our age, where like we're teenagers and everyone is developing at different stages. There are some people that understood this when they were 12. There are some people that won't understand this until they're 21. It takes a lot of time to understand that different people are developing not only physically but mentally at different rates. You and I are mature enough to have this conversation at 16, but there's likely someone maybe in our grade, maybe our age, that isn't mature enough to have the conversation. There's likely someone who's been having these conversations for a while. It really depends on the individual maturity rate, so it's something you should keep within yourself. Okay, I know this. The only person I can change is myself, so that's what I should do.
Yeah, so that's it for today's podcast. I hope you guys liked it. Please do like and subscribe, and do go follow Kiara's band at Anticlimatic. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.